Goedemiddag allemaal, als ik jullie aandacht mag. I'm going to switch to English because our lecture will be in English. And probably people walking around here don't speak Dutch. Welcome to the lunch lecture of this career week at Erasmus University. My name is Wieneke Gunneweg. I'm editor-in-chief of Erasmus Magazine, but today I'm hosting this lunch lecture, and I'm here to introduce the speaker and afterwards moderate the Q&A. Happiness is the new rich. Inner peace is the new success. Health is the new wealth. And kindness is the new cool. This little poem, as you may call it, is in the signature of the email of our speaker today, Ying Zhang. Dr. Ying Zhang is Associate Professor on Entrepreneurship and Innovation at the Department of Organization and Personnel Management and Vice Dean for China Business and Relations here at Rotterdam School of Management, Erasmus University. Today she will give a lecture on the future of jobs. It's a concept that we have of jobs still in accordance to the demands of the labor market. Dr. Zhang will take us on a journey to the future of jobs and the consequences for us, the university and the education sector, and maybe even wider. The time for traditional careers is over. Dr. Zhang will state that this is all about singularity, uniqueness of you as a person. After the lecture of Dr. Zhang, there's time for questions. Please save your questions for after the talk, unless they really can't wait. You can ask them somewhere in between. So may I have a warm applause for our speaker, Dr. Ying Zhang.
Well, thank you very much. Today is really my privilege standing here talking about something not existed yet. The atmosphere also quite different because usually I feel that it's not equal because I have to stand and the audience need to sit. And today I really feel happy because you guys just standing. Maybe that is a sign of the future of the jobs. Well, I was asked to talk about this theme, and to be honest, this is a quite difficult and very big theme. Why is it? Because right now, most of the people don't interested from the social liberal society, which I mean most of the society from the West Europe, because we have very good social welfare, and you don't really need to worry about your jobs, and you don't really need to worry about if you are unemployed or what you should do, right? But on the other hand, this is something not existed yet. Some people predict that it will come maybe, 10 years, 20 years. Some people predict that it's coming already. Some people think that, oh, it's just 5 years. What I need to do is just focus right now and not to think about other things. I tell you an example this morning. I was talking about a cleaning boy or guy from my building, from my household. And he's from Africa, and he's actually cleaning our residence building. So he was very nice, and he said hello to me, and I sat back, and he asked me, what's your name? And I also asked him, what is your name? So we started a conversation, and I said, how many years you already cleaning our building? And then he said, oh, I already cleaning this building for 4 years. I said, do you worry about this job? He said, yes, every day, because I'm really worried that one day my job will be replaced by Robert. I said, wow, you're much better than my colleagues. Because my colleagues never worry about jobs replaced by robots. And he said, yeah, but this is the reality. I came from Africa, and I knew that the life is not easy. And I came here, I really appreciate it, but the technology just progressed very fast. Another example, another cleaning colleague, but actually cleaning our coffee machine. He's cleaning a coffee machine for the whole building, even for the whole Erasmus University, because we were very lucky. We got a very expensive coffee machine. And once I asked him the same question as well, and he said that, yes, also very worried because robots might be replacing our job. And I said, oh, so I should actually worry about my job because maybe one day the machine learning can replace professor, and the teachers and professors can be replaced by robots as well. And then he's, oh, you don't need to worry about it. But to be honest, I really worry about it. I worry every day that my job will be taken away by someone not existed in front of me, but in any corner of this world. I want to give you another example. I just came back from Shanghai, giving a lecture to the Global MBA program. And people from Shanghai, their working temper, their working stress can be said as the highest in the world. So the job for them is different concept from job for Dutch and for German, because their job change is almost every 2 years, similar to US. Why is that? Because they want to climb to the career ladder. So the same question to them is also to you guys, same. What is a job? And what is actually the career? And what is the life? These questions, if I threw to different corners of the world, the answer is different. Usually for the state capitalism country, for example, China, okay, North Korea, let's say, or market capitalism country, for example, US, they always said that job is making money for my living. And if I ask questions to you guys who is local from Netherlands, from Switzerland, from very rich and social liberalized countries, job is kind of partially joy and partially is the necessary instrument to earn money for your living. Am I right? So very luxury, what I always have to acknowledge is in Holland, even though we call gender balance every day that women need to go to the job market, but still we have a very, very luxury environment that women can stay at home and partially work and part-time work, spending some of the time for their children and family. I think that is a key point of the why Dutch kids' happiness level is top in the world. So come back to the jobs, career, and I want to ask you, what is actually the jobs? What is job? How many of you, let me do a very brief survey. How many of you working in university? Okay, lucky you. You're working in the ivory tower. How many of you having more than one job? How many of you no job right now? Students, huh? Okay, if I give you assumption now, I say that your current job, for example, working in university, not considered as a job. Do you have any other job? What is your job? Yeah, correct. What is job? Job is a role of you in the society and in the community. Usually we consider job as something getting money. I hire you, you give me, I give you money, and then you use money for living. That is not correct. Job is a role. You have multiple roles in this society. You can be a mother, you can be a wife, you can be a daughter, you can be an employee, you can be an entrepreneur, you can be a homemaker, you can be a volunteer in this world. The reason that all the other jobs not considered, because all the other jobs not valued or measured in the economic way. That is our world, how our world is functional right now, because our world is functional in the capitalism way, right? And capitalism is a great thing because capitalism generate innovation, generate entrepreneurship, generate new products, new machines, and generate us to push ourselves harder to make something new, and then we can just take a rest, be lazy. Think about the machine we have. Actually, when we have a car to replace a horse, we just don't want to walk, and we want to walk faster. And when we have a machine to manufacture things, improving the efficiency, it's because we want to reduce our physical effort. Right? When we have our computer calculation there, because we want to increase the accuracy and we want to reduce our mental brain activities and work. That is all good things from the capitalism, because capitalism produce this. It's, everything just have two sides. Once you have the good thing, you also have the other thing, right? So they have this innovation entrepreneurship on the one side, but on the other side is capitalism actually producing the inequality and insecurity. That's where people started to worry, do we have, if something happened, I will have, can I find another job? Right? Can I find another job, happier job, right? These questions not really statistically significant existing in Holland, because Dutch people usually pursue the jobs which can bring them happiness and joy. But I want to still doing a very brief survey. How many of you think that your job right now bring you dramatically happiness, joy, engagement, everything? Honest, huh? Okay, how many of you think that your job is not completely make you happy and you consider it as a threat, you consider it as a burden, and you're closing to the burnout? Yeah, to be honest, it is. Unhappiness in your job could be from friendly environment, your work environment could be from the task that you couldn't achieve, could be from that you actually isolated, your skill is not that level yet, could be from your mentally, visualization and your illusion that someday you will be very risky in this job market. So there are a lot of factors there. But if I ask the same questions to people from US or people from China, these totally very capitalism countries, then their answer is always that, yeah, I'm very stressful and I need to work harder, I have to make it happen, blah, 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 which is a big drive to the innovation and entrepreneurship. That's why you see that entrepreneurial activities in these two countries is dramatic, and these two countries always drive the whole world of the economic growth. But at the same time, they also hurdle the economic growth and the equality. Why I say that? What happening recently? The World Trade War, right? And two big countries started fighting, and the European Union also partially joined to fight. And Mark Rutte just visited China recently, and I heard that it's got a big deal in China because it's almost around 1.7 billion US dollar business deal. Probably will come to the Dutch business. But this is only order. This has not happened yet. So I still keep my suspicions there if this will happen or not. The reason I say this is that we have totally different types of the country, and they fight for this, for what? And behind the screen, they actually fight for jobs, right? One country, for example, US, already progressed to the very, very high level of innovation-driven economy. One country like China is at the stage of the efficiency-driven economy, which means that we are still using a lot of the resource and the low cost of the labor resource relatively comparing to here and US, to boost our economy. And these two countries started to fight, not because they fight for their competitive advantage, but fight for their jobs. and hilariously is fighting for their blue-collar jobs, right? Because as what Donald Trump claimed that he wants to bring a lot of jobs back to U.S. And if reduce import from China, their factories will be alive again, and their workers will get jobs. Is that really true? Your workers already lay off for a long time, and the skills already much lower than the requirement in the market, for the market. How come you can bring them back? This is kind of the passive and not make both sides happy. And it's not efficient. So from this point of view, it is not a good policy, not good progress for a country which already very high level. But on the other hand, what I think is for country like that, it's same as for European Union, because the technology level comparing to US is similar and at the same stage. What I think is you need to push much harder to the skill improvement rather than to the, keep the previous skill level, but to bring the jobs back. It will hurt your companies, it will hurt your economy, and also it will hurt your local workers, because this job is not long-term job. It's just temporarily. What if Donald Trump is not the president anymore? What if the next president candidate saying that, oh, okay, we're now going to dramatically change and replace the workers by the robots. So how the society and community to prepare this dramatic change? According to the study from the World Economic Forum, they also study a lot about future jobs. And they see that because of the fourth industrial revolution, because of the technology progress, every sector actually facing a very, very harsh disruption to their jobs. I have to be honest that staff and administrators will be the top one. I don't know how many of you are working for this sector, but they will be definitely replaced because of the skill lackage, because of we have much better machine to replace your daily work. And also not happy about it is also for the education. Even though the increase of the job positions in the education sector is a little bit increased, but it's not dramatic, it's not significant. So from this sense, we can also see that education sector is also the sector that's pretty much behind and lag behind. But this is a paradox, right? Because if you want to have more people with more skills, with catch-up skills and knowledge, you need to educate them. And education sector should be the key sector play in this game. But in education sector, what we are doing now? I don't know which field you're from, but from my field, for example, from my management field, what I can see that our curriculum, our education design still very close stick to the second industrial revolution requirement, which means that you have to be specialized. You need to be a specialized. You need to be a manager. Once you have a manager, you have a worker, right? And once you have a CEO, then you have employees. And this is already a sign of inequality. So in our education, we're trying to educate the kids like these two kids in either marketing, logistics, or strategy, whatever. But when they graduate, they find out, oh my God, in the market, actually, I was asked to not only do this, I was asked to solve the problem. And the problem is not only from this specific area. It's a general package. It's a general skill I need to grasp. And most importantly, it is the social skills and cognitive capability, which we completely ignore in our education, from the primary education to the secondary education to the higher education. So the consequences is we have a lot of ranking for our universities, but the ranking is majorly based on how about how well your alumni working in the job market and how much money they earn. Because money, again, economic value is a benchmark to compare each other. But the point is there are a lot of profit, not called profit, economic profit. It's called a social profit as well. Sometimes sometimes you plant a tree here. It will be 10 years you see the result. So we were educated from very, very early that not to be patient. We just want to know the 3 years or 5 years return, which is exactly same in the corporate. If you guys working in the corporates, you probably know that your shareholder or your boss need you to finish this. Just make it done and just make it happen. And I want the result. And I want it to give the shareholder return within 3 years. Otherwise, we're short of money, or we have to pay a huge loan to the banks, right? But a lot of things you cannot be harsh. So the job for us, like educator, is, we teach kids how to make money. We teach kids how to be more economic profit. Even though we already put a social responsibility, we put the social value in the curriculum, but to be honest, how many of them really believe that? How many of the corporates really believe that? That is a huge problem. So in the security side, the kids need to, and including us, we need to worry about every day that, hey, maybe one day I will lose my job. And the inequality side, we accept it. We accept inequality because we accept the bureaucracy. We will accept that there is a boss, there is an employee. We accept that everyone has totally different role, but this role is a single role, not singularity role, what I mentioned. Single role is you only focus on your particularly professional role in your career, but you forget that you have multiple roles, you have multiple interests, multiple expertise in different areas. To define singularity, probably you only say singularity is something different, something distinct, but singularity, I like the definition of singularity from the physics perspective. It says that singularity is a point that a parallel of the lines meet each other. This is a paradox, right? If a parallel of the lines, it couldn't be meet each other, but it can meet each other because if you build up a platform for yourself, and if you think that you're not only a person in a single career, professional jobs, then you will see multiple roles in different community and society. And you will find out that you have a much bigger platform and you have a much bigger world than so-called boss. So the boss and the bureaucracy and the hierarchy in your eyes is actually nothing. And this could be the path for us to go to the equality, because equality is a mindset. It's not only based on the measurement that each country want to compare rich, distance between rich and poor. It is our mindset that if you have this equality, if today I'm not the professor, I'm not someone knowing about this topic, I just, take off all my hats. Who am I? Then I'm equal to everyone here. And we just have different labels, and those are what I call it elusive and fake labels to each one, make us think that, you have a bigger role, you have a bigger power, and you have a bigger decision making, and you're probably considered as much smarter than me, which is totally wrong. So if we can educate the kids from the very beginning of this mindset and help them to explore their singularity capability, their singularity interest, and then follow that path, find what you are really good at it, what you are capable to do, then this world will be automatically changed to an ecosystem without any government policy intervenes or leadership. I'm sorry, I'm from leadership department. I shouldn't say that, but to be honest, I don't believe that leadership can be taught. Leadership need to. I believe everyone is entrepreneur. I believe everyone has a leadership. It's just a different perspective. So if we see this capitalism bring innovation and entrepreneurship, Entrepreneurship and innovation bring economic growth, but at the same time, they bring inequality and insecurity. If we want to go back to a harmonious world, let's say, then we need to first cue and first redefine what is equality, right? Equality is not you and me equal, like an economic level, like what social liberal countries usually use to use the government tax to, force each classes equally after tax. It's not that. Equality from the sociology perspective has 3 levels. First is singularity, I mentioned, that you need to know what is your role in this world, right? And second is reciprocity relationship. If I give you something, I help you, I need to believe that you will give me something back. But listen, here is a timing. Usually we were trained to not be patient. So we like to depend on the contract because we don't believe each other. The trust between individuals are almost zero. That's why Western world create so-called institution, contract institution, government, tax bureau, whatever. If I believe you will give me something back within some time, this time could be unlimited. Probably I invest in my children and children give me in the future. This could be one extreme case. If I believe that, then the relationship will be easily to deal with. And you will be automatically would like to help each other rather than why should I do this? What is my benefits? What is written on the contract, right? And the third level is we need to share the philosophy of equality. The most difficult part is the last part, because singularity and reciprocity of the relationship can be built up in small communities. If I see you frequently, you're my good friends, you're my relative, I automatically believe that. But the shared philosophy of equality is the most difficult part. And that really need education to push. But how to push it? First, we need to push our staff and faculties, and think about how our faculties being educated. How many of our faculties truly believe it? Truly believe that we need to offer on responsibility? How many of our faculty staff already achieve the level of cognitive capability and social skills? And the social skills in this sense, I define differently from the usual definition from the other literature. I think that the social skills is not like, okay, social skills like what we think. I think social skills has 3 levels. One level is you need to have the knowledge base of these social skills. Second level is you need to have the responsibility sense. And this sense, we actually carry it from the childhood, but this kind of the sense was depraved during the education, right? When we were child, we were taught to share with each other, and when we grew up, and the question is, why should I share with you? Why should I share with you? What is the condition I share with you, right? And responsibility is a key thing. Responsibility to whom? The lowest level is responsible for yourself, right? And it's also the end level, is the top level, is also the responsibility to yourself. Why is that? Because this is another paradox. When you're responsible for yourself, you will really consider relationship, reciprocity, relationship with others as a key, as an instrument. And you will keep the other side seriously. You will take the other people's life and job and whatever as your things. And in the end, if you're good, you're responsible for yourself, you're responsible for your whole community. And then you're actually responsible for the other people also responsible for yourself. So then finally, what is the future of jobs? I don't know, but I know that in the future, the technology push and and this geopolitical, political and social movement will push all of us to a society that each one need to be equal. And this equality not based on economic value, but also the social value, which means that we have to be cautious and be aware that our role is not a single role, it's singularity role, parallel role there. So if you guys have time this afternoon, after a lecture, after your lunch, think about how many roles you have. In this network, how can you put all the roles together? Can you really draw a role of mother, be an entrepreneur? Can you use your experience as a mother to help the other mothers? Set up your own business. And then back to the university, your job, and maybe you give a lecture next time, talking about how you manage your singularity role. So think about it, and then think about how can we bottom up change this phenomena and make our education really catch up with the future phenomena, because we are already, to be honest, we are already too much lag behind, because we are in the ivory tower. We have enough money, we have very luxury resources, but listen, this won't last long if we not move. That is my last words. Thank you.
Thank you.
On time?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect on time.
Okay.
Thank you very, Ying Zhang, for this insightful lecture, given us a lot of food for thought and even an assignment to take home, because that was actually a question I wanted to ask you. What should we do once we leave the room to prepare ourselves for the future job? But I think you gave us a good tip already. There's some time for questions from the audience. There are people walking around with microphones, so raise your hand. Yeah, see one there. Yeah.
It's working. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Frashida from law school.
Wow.
Thank you so much for your lecture. I think I agree on everything you said.
Thank you.
Except for Trump, though, I have an opinion on that, because he said we'll bring jobs back. What he meant is we'll bring new robots to the factories, and you still won't have a job. So, but I have a question for you. So how does, because you mentioned that we need to start with education.
Right.
So if I read the research, and if I read that in the next 4 years, some 7 million jobs will disappear, and new jobs will rise, and most of those jobs will have an IT component.
Right.
And the people that are going to be hit the hardest are women working in administrative or facilitative functions, basically.
Right.
That means that those women will be out of a job.
Right.
So if we look at our university, we are not doing anything
Exactly.
to educate
here, right? Okay.
to educate women in tech or anything like that. But how do you change the mental point of view of a university that states we are a research institution, and education is something we do along the side? How do you change that? Because I think it starts with that, having teachers to actually acknowledge the fact that they are responsible for educating people.
Right. I totally agree with you. That is a key point that I haven't tagged because limited time. For higher education, it's not only Erasmus University. I think Erasmus University already done quite well, because we try to push our research to the impact perspective, but the movement is still very slow. If you look at the research from law school, from management, including also from the medical school, how many of the research that actually can be applied to the practice? And I mean, practice is not current practice. It's actually the future practice. I can tell you that less than 0.1%. That's very sad. Why is that? Because our research is the closed research. It's not open research. I always dream that I can work with law school, because business cannot succeed without the knowledge of law. And I always dreamed that technology university should closely work with the comprehensive university like us, And because the future, the fourth industrial revolution is a revolution of technology. If our students graduate know nothing about technology, what is a 3D, how to do 3D, what is a biotechnology, and what is a genetic research, if they know nothing about this, how can they go to the future jobs? Impossible. But the professors sitting in the technology part, they're doing their own job, and we're doing our own job. And our products, both our products coming out, and they didn't know each other, right? How can they meet each other? Impossible. So if your product couldn't meet each other, meaning that your process has a problem. And your process has a problem, meaning that your input has a problem. So who is input? We're input. Faculty, we're input. How many of the faculties has a cross-disciplinary knowledge? Very, very few. How many dare to work on that? Almost zero, because you are killing your career. You need to publish. You need to publish specifically for your area. If you publish cross-disciplinary, first, there is no journals there. Second, your school won't be happy about that because ranking has no this index, right? So we were forced to be closed, but same time we were called to be open, which means that mentally we called to be open, behavioral we are being closed. And then this is a conflict. If your behavioral and your mind is not consistent, the consequences is depression, is frustration, and then in the end it's burnout. So burnout never being a burnout of physical burnout. It's always mental burnout. So our institution, great, but at the same time brings some of the side effects for us. This is negative side effects. And how to change that? If you don't care about your job security, you can change it. If you care about the so-called economic job security, then hardly change. And you couldn't fulfill yourself. You couldn't identify who you are. Yeah.
Thank you. That was a really good answer.
How do you, maybe if I have a question, how do you explain that in this 1 square kilometer of packed with smart people, that this is still the case, that it's publish or perish and not work in multidisciplinary teams is the norm? How do you explain that?
I think this norm will change, but it just needs, some of the institutions already established to disrupt traditional university. That is already a sign. That's why when we recruit faculty, we not recruit faculty for research. We recruit faculty for teaching.
Yeah.
And another problem I think for education is, I think in Europe it's relatively better, but in China and in the rest of the world, let's say, the education already a luxury product, right? And luxury product means that you need to pay much more than you need to pay for what you get, and actually less than what you get, because this luxury product is not the content of the product, it's the signal of the product. So we pay huge for the higher education, but this signal effect cannot be effected to the market. So the future education need to be experience-based. And this experience need to be the multiple lines, parallel lines, singularity education that allow you, like a Montessori, allow you to explore yourself. And which you have to first allow your faculty, your input, your training of PhD program to be singularity. Otherwise, our PhD graduates, then they have very narrow job choice. And we have a joke in our faculty circle. We're joking ourselves, saying that we faculty actually a group of people we couldn't find job outside of academic.
But is it true?
I think so. I think so. Yeah, I think so. So that's hilarious, but this is also sad. This is, half joke is truth. Right? So you need to really think about it. And you guys, if you are staff and administrator, lucky you. You have much larger, horizon to identify. But for us, because our training is very specialized, and we will put it into a very, very narrow track. But as a person, We're not specialized, narrow track. So this training program actually ruling a lot of talent. And the multiple concurrent careers is a future requirement, a future call. If you ignore it, then more and more people with high IQ, with high education, will be losing job. That would be very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Yeah, in front.
Yeah, so to change this, I suppose we should start by teaching specific skills to our students, right?
Yeah.
What would you suggest? I would say adaptability, flexibility would be some of them. Can you talk a bit about that?
You know, we shouldn't call ourselves teacher or professor because we can't teach. How dare you can call yourself a teacher or professor because you know much better, much more than other people? No. It's just because you read maybe a little bit more literature and books. And you had a PhD thesis that is signatured by the government. What I think is to teach kids, you need to first, to teach students, you first need to really love students, love what they are passionate about, and to help them, to guide them, help them to find their passion, and then to help them identify more resources for them. So you're the coach, you're not teacher. And second, we need to give the kids and students more space to identify internally rather than outside of the world, because we know already enough about the outer world rather than the inner world. I'll give you an example, ADHD, right? It's getting more and more popular in Western world. But ADHD, in my view, is not ADHD. It's not a sickness, it's not symptom, it's just a new normal. And the thing is because we not put kids into their track, we drag the kids to our track, then the kids of course get ADHD. and we always ask the kids, hey, you have to concentrate. But I was studying the schools from the primary school, kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, and I figured out that there is no teacher, no school has a system to teach kids how to concentrate. And some of the school, they artificially bring up the mindfulness, but mindfulness in all, I tell you, mindfulness in the Western world is more based on the behavioral, not based on your intellect. The mindfulness is intellect. It's kind of a knowledge. It's a philosophy. But we jump to the behavioral without introducing kids the philosophy. So that's not right. And that is the key, I think it's the key things for our faculty, for teachers, we need to actually catch up first. And then we have confidence to teach our kids.
Does that answer your question? Yes. I think we have room for one or maybe two more questions. See one over there.
Hi, thank you for your talk. My question's related to, I guess, how I was taught how to work with university students growing up. And I was taught there are hard skills and there are soft skills. And the faculty will really work on the hard skills and really help with content and discipline topics and such. And then there's student associations for the soft stuff. Could you speak to how the future looks with the moving away from that hard skills, soft skill conversation?
It's a very good question. I would say that future job, okay, in the future, hard skills not really needed for faculty to teach because that can be replaced by machine. Students smart enough to read the literature. If you check the participants rate in the university, you can see the big difference. If we have the lecture, a guest lecture from the industry, all of a sudden participants rate going up. I mean, without the requirement that the participants rate will be counted in the final grade. And if it's normal faculty going to teach, especially traditional way, like using the slides and follow the textbook and literature, the participants rate, active participant rate is really low. So which already predict that hard skills can be learned in the future by people themselves or with the aid of the machine or aid of the robots. And soft skill is really the key things that we need to catch up. We need to teach. And I mean, Dutch are already very good because Dutch people are very social. And for example, today we have a very small community, people here, and through limited time, you can know each other, and you talk to each other, you know what you're doing, and you can build up a very nice network. But usually in the big countries like China or the US, it's huge, right? Then it's a huge network divided into a very small clubs. So the consequences was not nice. So I think Dutch, in this sense, teaching soft skills because of the blood of doing business very well, you know, has this talent. But hard skills, really, it's a disruption to us, to me as well. For me, for example, teaching entrepreneurship innovation, my syllabus, in the context of China, my syllabus and my teaching material need to update every month because I need to catch up the phenomena. If I use the same syllabus to teach, then I already wash out of this system. Then because students know much more than me, especially those executives. They can just kick me out of the classroom. Yeah. So soft skills, really important. And start from soft skills, the hard skill will come immediately, not the other way around. Yeah.
If there's one more urgent question, we have time. Yeah, in the back. Last one, thank you. Oh.
Hi, thank you very much for your lecture.
Thank you.
I'm Eva. I'm from Erasmus School of Law as well. And I kind of grew up in a generation and started working at a point of time that not a lot of companies offer long-term contracts anymore. So I'm job hopping every 2 years as well because I kind of have to.
And you're still very young. You can do that.
Yeah, it is, but it is actually I find it very stressful because the rest of society is not really moving with me. So if I want to buy a house, I still have to show that long-term contract.
Right.
So it does put a lot of stress on me. Also because I think you enter relationships with people when you start working.
Right.
And I find it hard to do that every 2 years again and then say goodbye to all the people
Right.
I've already met.
Yeah.
And I also feel that now there's an added idea of that I have to do something that I really, really love. That is something that I really feel a lot of pressure on with the people I'm in contact with.
Right.
And I was wondering how you look at that. Could you comment on that kind of idea of, on the one hand, I have to, job hop every 2 years, and on the other hand, there's just a lot of pressure of doing something I really, really love.
Yeah.
Instead of just earning money.
Well, you really represent a new generation. If we look at the statistic last year and the year before, Holland actually did a very good job in terms of unemployment rate. But so what? But then in the end, if you look at the graduates, unemployment rate is pretty high. It's almost 10%. It's unbelievable, which means that with the bubble, real estate bubble in Holland right now, and such a high unemployment rate from the graduate students, the young generation couldn't afford themselves for their basic living, for example, buying house. And this is a problem, consequences of the capitalism and inequality. Why I say that? After, so in the precise, from the industrial economy, the second industrial revolution, industrial economy, to the post-industrial economy, during the before and after World War II, we actually experienced a dramatic social economic structure change, which is, we call it a financialization of the society, which means that there were two new capitals in the world that we created. One is a new capital of our pension funds. Why is that? Corporates find out uncertainty of their business. So they cannot guarantee their employees' pension can be lasting till the end after their retirement. So they gave all this pension investment to a professional money manager. And the money manager manage all the pension funds. Once you have a big pound of money, you have the power, right? And the other side is in the education. Education is that endowment. So government started to withdraw their investment and the society players try to input the money into the university as an endowment donation. Listen, it's not a free lunch, because the endowment need to look at your future performance. So you need to perform, as education, you need to perform very well to get your students' job, position, placement very well, and the salary quite high, the endowment will come higher. So you see, this is a massive effect building up. So in the end, two sides. It's about the financialization of the society and new capital bringing it up. What is the problem? The problem is we have to be short-term vision, short-term oriented. We have to see 2 years, 3 years of the economic return. And that gives the pressure to the new generation. So the phenomenon right now is the students, after graduation, they see through this. They don't want to be the slave of the big corporates. They just started their own company. And some students I interviewed, they said that, oh, I couldn't get the mortgage from the bank because I don't have permanent, I'm self-employed, so what, I can rent. So again, back to your question, it's again, if you worry about your job security, insecurity, security, that's an illusion. As long as you're alive, everything is fine.
Thank you. I take comfort from that.
Maybe that's a good... Maybe that's a beautiful point to wrap things
Thank
up.
you.
Can I have more applause for Ying Zhang?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks a million.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming to the lunch lecture and listening also carefully. And I wish you lots of luck in your careers, in your future.